everybody, this is Angela Savage, the daughter of IndyCar driver Swede Savage. It's time to watch Stories from Motorsports. My buddy, Doug Kenny, loves to share the journey of people in racing, and he is an amazing dude. Drivers, owners, fans, and team members, watch the SFM podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Stories from Motorsports. I'd like to thank my buddy Josh Mabe for the YouTube work he did years ago that inspired me to create this platform. I'd like to thank my buddy Victor Sifton for convincing me to get back into it after my hiatus from 2017 to 2019. I have a very special treat for you all today with an amazing journey from an amazing racing figure. Drivers, start your engines. Everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Stories from Motorsports, and today we have Franklin with us. How you doing?
Great, Doug. How are you?
Doing fabulous. What you been up to?
Racing and work and raising children. Kind of the same thing I've been doing for the past, minus the children, past 30 years of my life.
Nice, nice. How old are you? Just curious.
I am 39 years old.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the age that Johnny Benson was when he won his first Cup race.
There we go. That's inspiring a little bit.
Yeah, where are you originally from?
Born, raised, and still reside in Augusta, Georgia.
Nice, nice. What was your upbringing like?
I had a great upbringing. My father owned a couple small businesses here in the Augusta area. Grew up, private school, no problems financially with my family growing up. We did ride the ups and downs of the economy, in 2001 and 2008. But yeah, I grew up not really playing a lot of ball sports. Didn't really grow up around a lot of racing families. Not a lot of racing around where I grew up. So that's something that's a little different from my children now who are growing up all around racing.
Yeah, got it. For those who don't know, I saw Franklin race in the TA2 race in the streets of Nashville in 2021 during the Music City Grand Prix, which was the very first IndyCar race held over there. And on that weekend, they had several series that were overall supporting the IndyCar event, from Trans Am 2 to GT America and Robbie Gordon's, Crazy Robbie's Stadium Super Trucks.
Absolutely. Everyone loves those things.
Yeah, that was by far the best weekend I've had as a race fan, and I even hold it in higher regard a little bit than having met my childhood hero, Jamie McMurray, although that was a fun moment as well and a milestone for me,
Yeah, that event was incredible. It's up there for me, too.
Yeah. What was it like racing on that weekend? Describe it to me.
It was kind of all of my childhood dreams I'd imagine come true. Earlier that year, we had won a TA2 race at Road Atlanta with B2 Motorsports, which was a team started by one of my childhood friends, Cliff White, over in Alabama. And yeah, I'll never forget doing the track walk. I got to talk with some IndyCar drivers, and Roman Grosjean and his wife talked to me and my wife on walking down the straightaway during the track walk. So it was very surreal.
Yeah, for me it was very surreal as well, because I had similar experiences that you brought up. I met Al Unser Jr., which was a big moment because my grandfather idolized him,
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
And then, interestingly enough, in the first 10 minutes of the weekend, when I came to the racetrack on the first day, which I think was the practices, I entered the track to watch all the practices and all the sessions and everything and the qualifying. Within the first 10 minutes, I accidentally got run into by Roger Penske.
Well, that's a good one to get run into by.
Yeah. It was just an accident where I was talking with a friend of mine that went into the race with me, and I was telling her about the history of the IndyCar series. And what was interesting was right when I was, and I just remembered actually because of a dream I had, but the stuff I was talking with her about was how dominant Penske is at the Indianapolis 500. And then a split second later, I was on the ground and it was a slight impact, and it was Penske.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, got a photo out of it.
There you go. At least you got something out of it.
Yeah.
And the story of a lifetime.
Yeah, something to tell your grandkids one day, or my grandkids.
That's right.
By the way, I got run into by Roger Penske 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what got you into racing to begin with?
My father was into racing casually. He did some club racing and some go-karting as a in his mid-20s and 30s. His father was not into cars at all, which would have been my grandfather. But my father was into it casually, into cars and racing, and then he got me into go-karting when I was 9 years old at the local dirt track here, and then when I was about 14 or 15, I started, taking it way more serious. And, just like everybody, start to think about what you want to be and what you want to do. And that's when I decided that's what I wanted to be and do.
Yeah, for sure. What was the first series you got into? Was it NASCAR or was it sports cars? Like, what piqued your interest?
Well, that's kind of funny. Growing up, my dad was into road course racing, and being from, Georgia, the South, we had, NASCAR was obviously, it's still big, but it was very big in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was young. And it's funny, in my bedroom, I had a Dale Earnhardt-themed bathroom. I had Mark Donahue in a Porsche at Road Atlanta picture in my room. I had Tony Stewart IndyCar IRL section in my room. So I have been into all forms of racing really since I was younger.
Wow.
A lot of that goes to what we used to have a TV channel called Speed Vision, and it was 24-hour racing of all kinds. So growing up as a kid, I would watch, World Rally, Formula One, NASCAR, and it all just intrigued me because they were all so different, but yet, the same sport, if you will.
Yeah, wasn't that the show that Dave Despain had run?
Yeah, he had a show on Speed Vision. What was his? I forgot the name of his show, but yes, yeah. And it morphed into Speed Channel, and then it kind of fizzled out. But yeah, back then you could watch as much racing as you wanted.
That's awesome. I remember Dave Despain was like, early in his career, he sounded like a Walter Cronkite for racing, kind of, with that bold voice. And then when he got older and got more grandfatherly, it was even more bold than before.
Yeah, he was on Thursday Night Thunder on ESPN2. They would show the USAC races from around the Indianapolis area on Thursday nights as a kid, and I would watch that, and he was always an announcer on there as well.
Yeah. So when did you make your first start?
Probably when I was about 9 years old, here at the local dirt track. It was in Rennes, Georgia, which is about 20-30 minutes outside Augusta, and kind of just casually raced, for fun until I was about 11 or 12, and then we started traveling and started taking it more serious, and then we switched over to asphalt racing when I was about 13 or 14. And what they call a Bandolero car. It's made by the people who make Legends cars.
Nice.
That was kind of my transition from dirt to asphalt.
Yeah, what's that transition like when you go from dirt racing to harder asphalt and having to turn through the corners?
Yeah, definitely different driving style, floating more speed into the corner, more mid-corner speed versus, getting it rotated on the dirt. Yeah, I kind of took a weird path up through the ranks, I guess you will. I went from dirt ovals to pavement ovals, and then when I was 15, 16, I started getting in my dad's club racing, Spec Racer Ford, which is, a popular class in SCCA, and that's when I told him that I really wanted to do road course racing. So I've kind of done it all.
So
you still do it all.
You still do it all, so you're also... Have you ever been behind the wheel of an Indy car?
No, Indy Lights car I've driven. No, never driven an Indy car. But
God.
driven some Formula Atlantic stuff, some Indy Lights stuff.
So those are
some
like
prototypes.
so those are like the more minor levels to IndyCar, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kind of like F1 has F4, F3, F2 leading up through the ranks to get to Formula One in America. It's a little more discombobulated, but yeah, there's, F2000, Indy Lights, Toyota Atlantic, and, IndyCar, kind of how it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. Considering that you grew up in racing during the time that there was some tragedies, we saw Scott Brayton, hit the wall, and then Dale Earnhardt, crashing at Daytona and everything. How do you deal with that level of fear, knowing that even though it's more safer, it can still happen?
I think we all think it won't happen to us. We're all a little dumb in that way. But, I mean, when you're on the track, you're in such a flow state of consciousness, you're not really there, if you will. But it's something we all risk. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I tell people I'm more worried driving down the road with people I don't know being separated by 2 yellow lines than I am on the track with people I trust going in the same direction.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So, and again, I've done it since I was little. I have a 8-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they're currently racing, and it is. I mean, it's inherently dangerous, but so is football or anything fun. There's a yin and yang to everything.
Yeah, for sure. So when did you win your first race, and what was that like?
Let's see. I was probably, I was not very good when I was young. It took me a while. I won some local races, but I'll say the first big win I remember was when I was 13 or 14, and we had bought a Bandolero. They still race them today on paved ovals. And we went up to Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I raced against, some NASCAR, drivers' sons and stuff like that. Rusty Wallace's son and Jimmy Spencer's son. We all got to know each other, and I won a big race up there in front of a bunch of people and a good crowd, and that's kind of when I realized I should start taking this way more serious.
Wow, I never knew you raced against Jimmy Spencer's son and also Rusty Wallace. Was that Steve?
Yeah, Stephen Wallace, and then David Reagan and Joey Logano were my age. We raced Bandoleros together. Joey Logano beat me pretty much every time, but we did race each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you had a pretty interesting upbringing for, getting into the sport, although you went a different direction as them.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what Stephen Wallace has been up to lately? Like, nobody that I know has heard from him lately.
I don't know. That's a good question. He went on, it's kind of, like you said, they all kept with it on the oval side. Now I took off on the road course racing route and didn't really stay in touch. So I don't know what he's up to now. A lot of times, those guys come back and work on the team side of things. So, he's probably still in the sport, just doing it from a business aspect, if you will.
Yeah, I see what you mean. If you had to pick, what's a moment in your racing career that you can't get over? Whether it's humorous or, winning, what have you.
I would say when me and my buddy's team won the Trans Am race at Road Atlanta, it was a team of all volunteers, and we did some testing. We knew we were going to be quick, but that was kind of a life-changing moment for me, and one of those where I still pinch myself. And even my buddy Cliff White with B2 Motorsports, still texts me randomly. I can't believe he won that race. So that'll always be one that was won by heart and grit from a bunch of good people.
Definitely. Describe that race now that you brought it up. Sounds very fun.
It was. The Trans Am races are intense because they're, an hour and 15 minutes. The cars are really hot. there's going to be cautions. You have to conserve the tires a little bit. So you also burn off almost 40 gallons of fuel because there's no pit stops. So the attitude and the setup of the car changes throughout the race. So yeah, staying focused that long was tough. And we were battling it out with some of the kids who are in NASCAR now. So Sam, what's his name? He's running Infinity now with Junior Motorsports.
Sam Meyer?
Yeah, Sam Meyer. He was him and I battled it out. So it's great to see the youngsters I raced with move on up the ladder and do cool things.
Yeah, and then Joey Logano winning the championship a handful of times.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that felt good to see for you.
Absolutely. At least I lost to someone who's really good.
Yeah. Two moments that I don't think I can, or three moments I'll say that I don't think I can get over as a race fan.
What?
I would say that for amusing purposes, it's Martinsville when Matt Kenseth blew his tire while coincidentally passing a guy that he was having a feud with.
Yes, the Joey Logano championship run they were having.
Yeah, and then Kenseth, blowing the tire, even though he was clearly turning the wheel to a certain direction.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I like Matt. I just got a laugh out of that afterwards and being like, yeah, not what happened.
Right. You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
Yeah. And then the other two are more for, like, sportsmanship purposes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, for example, the one recent one that I can't really get over is when Tommy Dreese helped out Amy Ruman when she was not able to fund for a race, and he helped her out with the pit crew and they finished in the top 5.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I really was glad to see it just because, these days you want to see real clean racing, and helping out another to the best of your ability. And I really think that was the best moment I've seen in racing recently, that I get emotional about it a bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's so many good people because, it's really expensive to go racing. And, my father had the money to go club racing and stuff, which I was super grateful for, but not the money to go do all the crazy stuff I wanted. So my stuff is built off relationships, and that's the cool background stuff that people don't get to see. Even in the NASCAR side,
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about, these kids have to find so much money to do it, and there's so many cool backstories I wish people knew about.
Yeah, definitely. Here's one other moment that's very sportsmanlike that a lot of people probably won't know about today because of the generations that have gone by. But when Scott Brayton sadly had his qualifying crash after winning the pole at Indianapolis, there was a lot of heartache during that weekend because of the split. But Scott Brayton's tragedy was sadly the thing that overshadowed it. But you know what Tony Stewart did despite winning the pole in his place? He asked the other competitors if they could leave the pole position empty for Scott Brayton when they went to the green flag.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I thought that was very sportsmanlike because Scotty won the pole that year and Tony only got it because of the tragedy,
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then as an experience, obviously Music City Grand Prix is the other I can't get over.
Yeah, I don't think, just the access people had where you could walk right over that bridge to the race was pretty, I don't know how you're going to top that at any venue.
No, definitely not. What was that weekend like entirely for you when it ended with you finishing well and Mike Skeen winning and everything? What was that entire weekend like for you?
Well, going into it, it was pretty surreal. I had an Airbnb with my family. We stayed right there by the track. Like I told you, we could walk into the track with our credentials. But then balancing the competitive side of me who wanted to do good. Qualifying didn't go so well. We didn't really have the right gearing in the car. I think we started like 15th. But during the start of the race, I kept telling my crew guys that everybody was burning the tires off their cars, so we were just patient. And then you can imagine, the Trans Am cars at Nashville, there's going to be some cautions, which there was, and we just kind of were smart and picked our way back up to, I think, a top 5 at the end. So, yeah, I was about the happiest person you would ever see in 5th place after the race. We were high-fiving and pretty excited for 5th.
Yeah, for sure. You know, sometimes when you run a race that's very hard, you're just glad to be in the top 5 by the end of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and such an incredible feel. I think, you know, if I remember, Brent Cruz came from the back and Connor Zilic was up there. You know, like I said, there's so many of these youngsters who've gone on to do some really cool stuff. Just to say, you know, you were part, or, you know, you raced with them is pretty neat.
Yeah, and also you had veterans like Tony Ave and Boris Said in it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember Tony was in a yellow number 26 car, and I got to battle it out with him a little bit, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, did Tony...
I actually stayed in contact with him on some future Trans Am stuff.
That's great. What was racing against him like? Because I know he's very ferocious behind the wheel.
He was. I think he was missing a door at that point. But
I remember that.
Everybody was. Those cars are so tough to keep under you and keep under control that there's a lot of contact, but it's kind of expected, you know. So it's a little more. Give and take in that series. You know you're going to get bumped, so you don't take it as personally maybe as you would in Formula cars or GT3 cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, those Trans Am ones, they go really, really fast.
Yeah, they go fast. And yeah, they are a handful.
Yeah.
Probably the best series. TA2 is definitely the most underrated series out there right now, I think.
Yeah, what makes it underrated in your opinion?
I think just the exposure. I'm not going to pretend to be a marketing genius. I don't know what to do, but just getting eyes on it. So, for example, I do a lot of dirt racing nowadays, and you know, do some dirt late model stuff with guys running World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil late model series. When I show them the cars in the series, they just think it's awesome, and then they start watching. So I just trying to get it to the masses more, and even just to the motorsport community, letting people know about TA2.
For sure.
And you're doing your part, you know. People like you know, doing what you're doing is how we get the ball rolling.
Definitely.
I think Andy Lally is a huge addition. He's going to be. From what I've heard, he's making some good decisions. So I think he's going to be a good force for the series.
Yeah, Andy Lally. I spoke with him a few years ago. He's one of the nicest people I've ever spoken to. You know, I don't have any complaints about him.
Right. No, yeah, for sure. I don't think you're hearing any. He's going to be nothing but positive from what I can see.
Yeah, I see it as well. You know, one of the things I like about Andy is he's very honest, but also gracious with his honesty, you know.
Right, there you go. Yep, that's a good way to put it, for sure.
Yeah, he also won Rookie of the Year, I think, in the Cup Series one year.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
With a new team. Yeah, I mean, he's got a good vision. I think there's no shame in TA2 being support races for big events, you know, like NASCAR or Nashville. TA2 trying to be the headliner might be less productive than them trying to, you know, be support races for big events like I mentioned, Nashville and, you know, July 4th. They used to go to Road America with the Cup Series. That was pretty cool. Stuff like that.
Yeah. During the late part of the Nashville weekend, what was your reaction when Marcus Ericsson was able to come back from like a lap or two down after losing his wing and winning the race still? How amazing was that?
That whole race was wild. From what I recall, everybody was banging off of everything. I mean, I think it goes to prove you just never quit, especially on street horses. You kind of like, you know, we went back to 15th or 20th and worked our way back up. You know, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. Did you watch the Stadium Super Trucks that weekend between the Trans Am ones?
Oh, yeah. Me and my buddies would definitely go to the fence for that every time.
Yeah, I went to the fencing as well, and you know what my thoughts were every time they roared past went over those jumps?
What?
I thought it'd be a good series to show in like stunt movies.
Yeah, yeah, or even in stadium stuff too. Bring
Yeah.
back. You're too young to remember the stadium super trucks from the used to run in the arenas, probably in the mid '90s, early '90s.
Yeah, I didn't see those, and I don't think there's much footage of it as much as
Hmm.
Robbie's, but I heard those were really cool ones as well.
Yeah, no, they were. No, Robbie's got a cool thing going on.
Yeah. So what was the transition from sports cars to dirt again like?
Um, Going back to dirt recently, the past couple of years, I've been transitioning back to dirt, and it's just a whole different feel. And the biggest thing is, on road racing, you're trying to run a, quote unquote race line where you use all the road, hit your turning point, go down to the apex, track out, sacrifice certain corners to improve your next corner type thing. Where in dirt, you're looking for grip and you're driving in places just to make the car do the right thing. So it's completely different. It's one of the past year or two, transitioning back to dirt late models or to dirt late models from everything I've done has actually probably been one of the toughest things that I've had to do as far as getting up to speed quickly. It has not happened on my transition back to dirt like it does with other road course stuff I do.
Got it, got it. Do you have any hopes for getting back into it since the TA days are on pause at the moment?
Yeah, no, I still stay in contact with TA teams and TA2 teams. David Panteric has been an amazing man. He let me drive his Trans Am car at Road Atlanta without ever meeting me in person, which was about as cool as it gets. So he's been helping me get contacts. I will be back out in the Trans Am field at some point, probably next year.
That'd be
in
awesome.
2026 season.
That would be awesome. What sponsors do you have that have supported you?
Currently, have Jet Food Stores. They're a local gas station chain around the South Georgia, Middle Georgia area here in town. We've got Metco Incorporated. That's the company me and my brother-in-law own, where we build and service gas stations. My grandfather started that company, so that one doesn't really count. But Boswell Oil Company, Clifton Construction Company. We've got about 5 or 6 people around here who really help us. Kart King in Augusta, Georgia, is a big contributor to us and helps us stay on the road and racing.
Got it. What did you do after the Nashville weekend? Did you win any more races after that?
Yes, I went on that year to win an SCCA national championship in Spec Racer Ford, which is like a spec class in SCCA where all the cars are like, you may have seen them before. They're on iRacing. And yeah, I kept on, I have to kind of get where my budget allows or find sponsorship when I can to do the big races like that. So, it might take me a year or two just to put one race together to find the money. But yeah, so it's a lot of work behind the scenes just to do one of those events for someone like me. But it makes it that much better when stuff goes well.
Yeah, for sure. What is how many wins do you have in TA2?
One. I've got a win, a 3rd place, and I think 2 5th places.
Got it, got it. What's gotten in the way of you winning more so far, if you had to think about it?
Learning the characteristics of the car. So you almost have to underdrive the Trans Am car. Once you get to a certain point, you can really overdrive them. It's hard to find that perfect little amount of slip angle, and to get the amount of speed out of it is tough. So also learning the setup of the car. So a lot of the setup on a big, heavy front-engined NASCAR style car is drastically different than light formula cars and prototypes that I've grown up driving. So learning what the car wants, learning, is the car not handling right, or am I making the car not handle right? And then also, like I said, learning the adjustments to make to the car to fix all that. So, in a perfect world, you could have testing and get with a big team and stuff like that, which would, speed that process up. But that's why I was so proud of the B2 Motorsports team out of Alabama. We did all that on our own, buying a used car. So again, like I said, it makes it that much sweeter then.
Great to hear. What are the sweetest moments you've had in racing outside of like racing itself? Like what are some good fun memories you've had with your team and all that?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can talk about some of them. Well, I mean, just definitely the camaraderie. You know, we all have our busy day lives, and when you get to the racetrack, just, I mean, not to be cheesy, but just hanging out by the campfire, especially at the SCCA runoffs. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's kind of the week-long championship week for SCCA they have every year. And it's just up there, it's just, you know, 1 week of focused on racing and hanging out with your friends, and it really is nice. So, I mean, a lot of my racing friends from around here, kind of like my family, we're together a couple of days a week with the dirt racing stuff that we do and my kids racing. So, you know, I'm kind of engulfed in it now.
Yeah. Are you at that point like where Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch are, where their children are starting to race and know what to do?
Yeah, I'm there. My boys are 9 and 8 and starting to take it serious. We're actually going to be going up to Millbridge Speedway up near Charlotte, where Kevin Harvick's son races on dirt, Kyle Busch's son, Kyle Larson's daughter. So we're going to start going up there and doing some racing, and, you know, got to go up there if you want to do good.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Charlotte's one of the biggest places in the sport, you know.
Yep, exactly. And man, I really didn't know until the past couple of years going up there for the dirt car stuff, picking up parts and meeting teams, that how really big the motorsports industry is in Charlotte. It's wild.
Yeah, North Carolina, that's considered the center of it. Usually Charlotte, Mooresville, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You don't usually see many drivers in NASCAR from the West Coast for some reason over the years, but now that's starting to change, it looks like.
Yeah, no, it is. I think, like me coming up in the late 90s, the internet was just coming out. So for someone on the West Coast to get noticed, prior to the internet days, I can't imagine how hard that would be. Word of mouth traveling back to Charlotte, North Carolina about some kid on the West Coast. But yeah, I think the whole internet and social media and everything, it's added a whole new element to kids who want to be race car drivers. They have to now tackle that, aspect of it. But you also can't complain because you can show people what you got.
Yeah, I definitely think Joe Ruttman and Kyle Larson helped with it as well, with their dominance in NASCAR,
Even Kevin Harvick, growing up as a kid, I watched NASCAR all the time, and when Kevin Harvick came over, I was like, who is Kevin Harvick? And yeah, it didn't take long for us to realize who he was.
Yeah, I remember heavily respecting him when he won the championship in 2014 in his very first year with Tony Stewart. That made me a fan for life of his.
Yeah, no, him and Tony Stewart kind of remind you of each other. They're diehard racers. That's definitely what they were put on this planet to do.
Yeah, definitely. They had what it took, and Kevin won more than Tony, but they just had so much in common from my perspective.
I agree, yep.
Yeah. What are you hoping to race in the future other than Trans Am? Are you hoping to eventually run maybe some NASCAR road races or IndyCar? Where do you hope to go?
Yeah, I actually would like to do another Trans Am race or two, and then you hit the nail on the head. I do want to do, NASCAR Xfinity or Truck Series race on a road course before I throw in the towel at my old age. So, yeah, I've got about a 5-year plan to try to do a NASCAR road course race properly. I've contacted some teams and gotten the ball rolling, so yeah, that's my next venture. And also concentrate on some of my dirt racing and my kids racing. They start taking it serious, that's going to take up a lot of time as well, so I'll have to transition over to that.
Yeah, definitely. Justin Marks, have Franklin come to your team for the next Chicago race or the next street race.
There you go. I could drive that guest car. Yes.
Yeah, you never know. He could win, like Shane Van Gisbergen.
That's right.
Yeah. So what impact do you hope to leave on race fans?
I would like to be known as the guy who obviously loved it, who did it for the pure love of the sport, which is what I do. And I like to drive anything. So, You know, when they put me in the ground, I'd like people be like, that guy used to race anything he could race. So, you know, be it dirt, you know, dirt ovals, asphalt ovals, road courses. I even do some drag racing, so I like to do it all. And I guess that's what I'd kind of like to be known for, is winning in all kinds of different stuff. That's why I like Kyle Larson and Tony Stewart and those type of guys who just, if it's got a steering wheel and pedals, they'll drive it.
Definitely. I met Kyle Larson at Phoenix in 2018, and he's one of the classiest people I've ever met as a driver.
Really? And, you know, he does that 6 nights a week. You know, he's racing so much. He's got to, you know, pretend to be nice, but, you know, just the fact that he is that type of person all the time is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely a good sport, and I was really glad when he won the championship and cup the year after his no, you know. Yeah. He definitely redeemed himself. Yeah, he's going to go down in the history books as one of probably the best drivers ever, in my opinion, in any discipline. Yeah, I think it's possible he could surpass Jeff Gordon or David Pearson by the time he slows down, but we'll see what time brings. Right, while doing incredible things in other series, you know, 24 Hours of Daytona wins, and you know, that's the crazy part, is racking up the resume he is in NASCAR while doing other stuff. Yeah, I was bummed that his Indianapolis attempt didn't work out, but hey, he has an Indianapolis 500 on his record, or 2 of them, in fact. True. That's true. He can mark that off the list. Yeah, I'm hoping he'll come back and try the double again, because it's been a very long time since anyone's achieved that, and I think he's the guy to do it at some point. Yeah, I agree, for sure. Yeah, I think he could win both races if the weekend turns out perfectly for him. Yeah, I mean, he took to the IndyCar pretty good. Transitioned very well. Yeah. So, do you have any social sites that you want to promote or put out there for people to get merch or know where you're at or anything? Yeah, I'm on Instagram, just by my name, Franklin Futrelle. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and probably the next 6 months or so, I'll be launching a YouTube channel with me and my boys on it, documenting a lot of our racing stuff. So it'll be following us to our dirt track, our SCCA racing, our Trans Am racing, our backyard test tracks that we have down here. So everybody's been kind of encouraging me to do that, so I think that'll be my next deal. So I'll keep you in the loop on that, and keep an eye out, everybody out there, on my social media for that to be launching probably 6 months from now. Sounds good. And someone, please sponsor Franklin, because he needs to get back. Out here, steering wheel in hand, ready to drive. Yeah, and keep that on record, Justin Marks. There you go. I'll pay you some royalties, Doug. How about that? You can keep your winnings. No, man, this has been great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Franklin. It's been great to chat with you. Okay. Have a good night, Doug. Thanks. You have a good night. Talk soon. Okay, everybody. I'd like to thank Franklin for appearing on SFM, and we'll see you next time for the next episode. Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit like and subscribe if you did so, and please continue supporting our amazing guest. And everybody, we'll see you next time on SFM.
Hi, this is Ted Warner speaking. While the checkered flag is waved for this program, stay tuned for next week for the next episode of SFM. Thanks to Doug Kenny for what he does for motorsports.